frustrating. Has this ever happened to you? Let's see if we can fix it. I've just recently rebuilt a Stihl string trimmer. It's worked really well. Let's see if we can rebuild this Stihl gas-powered blower. It's the BG75. It's been around for a while. Probably came out in the 90s, so it's got a few years on it, but I bet we can get it running just like new. Let's give it a try. The first thing we want to do is take this off. We have to lift this up just a little. Let's see if we can rotate it. There it goes. Now this should come off. That's going to make it a lot easier for us. Now we need to empty the gas that's probably been in there, I don't know, a decade. Let's do that. Alright, I've got a can here. Let's empty it. This is a USA made device, by the way. Here comes the fuel cap. Oh yeah, this is looking pretty bad, pretty murky. Alright, we'll replenish that with new fuel in the future here as we rebuild this. Just put this back to prevent anything from getting in the gas tank. This is the rebuild kit. It has a new carburetor, spring loaded. You can see the adjustments here. 2 gaskets, spark plug, an extra pump for to get the fuel going into the carburetor from the fuel tank, a fuel filter weighted so it'll be in the most dependent part of the gas tank, fuel line, and these important grommets that prevent any leak. They'll keep the opening into the fuel tank nice, and a 2-stage air cleaner, a foam outer and a high density inner. Let's get to work. The first thing we're going to do is gap the spark plug. Fortunately, I downloaded some information from Stihl, and it shows that the gap should be 0.5 millimeters or 0.02 inches. That's what this is, this feeler gauge. And I can just get it in there, so that's been gapped. So that's the first step. The spark plug is now ready to go. Let's take a look at the carburetor. So the way to do this is to take the air filter off. Here's the cover. And here's the first element. Actually, it only has one element. And now we can see access to the bolts to take off the remainder of the air cleaner and get to the carburetor. Let's try 5/16. Ah, beautiful. This is where the gaskets are. One here, one here. We'll clean those in a minute. Now here's the carburetor. And it's ready to come out, but we need to disconnect the linkage. The linkage, as you can see here, to the throttle. Let's zoom in on that. So we'll disconnect that. So I think there we go. I just disconnected that. We'll see if this advances out. We'll have to disconnect the fuel line, which is right here. Let's disconnect the fuel lines. Let's take the fuel lines out of the fuel tank. This will be the return. The other one may have the filter on it. I'll have to take a look at that. Okay, this is the return tube. Let's get the fuel filter out before we take off the other line. Here's that fuel filter. There it comes off. We'll take that one out and take off these grommets, which we're going to replace. So we'll get both of the grommets off right now because I've got both of the fuel lines disconnected so that the carburetor will come off. There we go. Okay, we've got both of the grommets off, the fuel lines off. Let's take the gas tank off just to clean it up. It's held in place with some torque screws, some T25s. There's one back here. With a washer. Just saving my little cup. Don't want to lose any of my little pieces. And another one right here, and we'll clean this all up. Get this brushed off. There's the fuel tank. We'll clean it up here in just a second. Cleans up pretty well. Okay, once I've cleaned it now, I've put some more fresh fuel in it just to be sure there's no debris. We'll just pour that out. So now our tank is nice and clean, and we'll set that aside upside down over here so nothing can get into it. Okay, at this point I think we can change the spark plug. It takes an 18mm spark plug wrench. Check that, 19mm. A little stubborn. There we go. Oh yeah, that's not looking so good. We'll put a brand new one in there to replace that. There's our new plug. We've already gapped it. Get it started. Just give it a little. Okay, plug's changed. So this is the way the fuel lines came off. So we're going to create the new fuel line length based on these. So this one starts here, ends up going to about here. This is the one that connects to the fuel filter. And then this one ends about here. This is the return. So those are the new two fuel lines. We'll get our fuel filter that we'll put on once we retrieve this through the gas tank. So we'll bring this through here. Connect our new fuel filter. There we go, beautiful. So put that in the tank. Be sure it's got enough length to go to all the way to the most dependent part. And then we'll put our grommet on. Okay, so let's put this grommet in. It's a really tight fit, but if we're careful, we can get it in by just teasing it all the way around. And then once it's in, turn it, and that is a really nice fit. You can hear the weighted fuel filter on the other line. Let's put the gas tank back. We'll route the fuel lines up through here, so it's good for the carburetor. And again, these are a T25 Star or Torx bit. I guess the official name is Torx, T-O-R-X. They're a great bit because they don't have any risk of camming out. They really have a great grip because there are so many flutes. Tighten that up. Tighten that up. I'm going to put the fuel cap back on it just to keep any debris from getting inside of it. So unfortunately, the carburetor rebuild that I got is not the same as the one it's replacing. The throttle is over here, the lever for the throttle, and the two fuel lines are opposite, so I'm not going to be able to use that, but I will. Actually looks amazingly good. And what I think I'm going to do is take it to my ultrasonic cleaner, completely take it all apart, and really get it thoroughly cleaned, and then I'm going to reuse it. And I think, looking at it, it'll probably be good. But the new fuel line's a necessity, a new fuel filter necessity, new spark plug necessity. So let's see if we can get this carburetor to be every bit as good as those brand new parts. So I've got my ultrasonic bath here with very hot water, and we're adding a good amount of turpentine to that. Nice solvent. Start it off. We'll put our carb in there. We'll let that ultrasonic bath do its thing for about 5 minutes. You can see really starting to bring off some of the particles from it, cleaning it up. The bath is winding down. We're heating it as well, almost made it to 48, so we'll turn that off. That's turned off. Pretty hot. Let's dry it off a little bit with some compressed air gently. I think that's about ready. Let's put the ball back on, or let's put the dome back on it. I did replace the dome with a nice new clear one. And we'll secure that nicely in place. There's a very tight fit. Okay, so we put this skirt back on that I've cleaned up. And now we're going to bring the carburetor into position. There's the gasket. And here's the first fuel line. Get the carb started in these two screws. Good. Now we'll reconnect the linkage. Okay. Okay, the spark arrestor has been replaced. The outside of the air filter with the choke. By 5/16 nut driver. Okay, we'll put the other one on. Snug those up. Then, air cleaner. The foam one goes inside of this. The foam one that had come out was very deteriorated and really needed to be replaced. Then inside of that is this fiber one. It should fit like this. Wow, what a fit. Great. There we have it. So let's get some fuel. See if we can start this baby up. Okay, everything's been put back together. You can see we have the air hose on, the carburetor, new air cleaner, new spark plug, all these elements. Now we're going to fire it up. I've got a flat bladed screwdriver to adjust the high speed and low speed screws for the carburetor. The high speed is at the top, and the low speed basically is a screw that goes in and out and just advances or retards the throttle. We've got fuel in it, 50-to-1 mix, and we're going to try to start it out. When you look at the handle, it's got 0, which is off, on, and choke. So choke is where we're going to start it. Try to start it. Pump it, be sure we got fuel. Here we go. Fuel bulb primed. That got going. All right, here we go. So it works great. Very good high speed. This is that high speed screw, and you adjust it with it in full throttle. And then the low speed, I've kind of got it at a good place, I think. Yeah, you don't want it to go too slow, so we'll speed it up. There you go, right about there is good. Okay, we'll turn it off. This is going to run for many, many, many years. I'm very pleased with that. So we've rebuilt this Stihl blower, the BG75. It came with my mountain house and hadn't been run for years, and it required a lot of cleaning. Still could be cleaned up a little bit more. But a new oil, a new gas filter, new fuel, cleaned out the gas tank very well, new fuel lines, a new primer bulb, air cleaner, spark plug, and we just cleaned the carburetor because a carburetor replacement was difficult for me to get, and it works really well. Again, thank you for watching. This is Adventures with Dr. Joe. Please subscribe if you like. Please comment. I'm getting a lot of great comments. I really appreciate that, and I think we're being helpful. And as always, in these difficult times, stay safe.